Welcome back to Maple Sumo. We're here on day 15 of the Haru Basho 2026. Before we get into the results, I'd like to start off by requesting that Chairman Hakaku eat an entire bag of dicks. This guy released a statement yesterday after Hoshoryu's loss to Kotozakura, basically calling him pathetic and saying that he wasn't fully committed. He managed to, in a single breath, both insult one of his strongest yokozuna, who, yes, he has yet to win a tournament as a yokozuna, but the guy is young, hungry, gets better every tournament, is still putting in a great performance, was in the race up until the last couple of days, and then also minimize the effect and impact of one of his most reliable Ozeki, who should be beating Yokozuna on the regular. These are the guys who are one step below and vying for that top spot. They're supposed to be the ones who are challenging the Yokozuna, and Ozeki is a champion. Like, that's what their job is to keep, putting up a strong resistance for the Yokozunas, keeping everyone else in check. Like, the role of Ozeki is more important than the role of Yokozuna. If there's not an Ozeki, then they call a Yokozuna Ozeki because they need Ozeki. So to sit there and belittle a guy like Kotozakura, who, despite not putting up double-digit performances in a little while, is very consistently having winning records in the toughest job outside of Yokozuna, is ridiculous. And yeah, Hoshoryu lost to him, but Hoshoryu still has like 10 wins. Like, that's what you expect out of a Yokozuna, is to be in competition the whole tournament. I mean, yeah, he dropped a couple of them early and was in the chase pack a lot of the time, but like, he was still taking out the big dogs. I mean, is it just because he's not Onosato? Like, what is this guy's deal? Frankly, the next 2 years can't pass soon enough, and as soon as that guy is forced to retire due to age, I'm throwing a party. I think Hakaku has been holding back sumo. He resents the international audience. He's only concerned about his own desires and his own wish for as much stagnation and tradition above all else. No worry about his wrestlers' safety, about bringing new people into sumo, about expanding the audience. He's like, screw it. I just care about Japan being for Japanese. Like, if that's your mentality, then you shouldn't be the sports commissioner. You should be a cultural attaché or something. So screw this guy. Hoshoryu's doing great, and let's get into the results. Starting us off, the Flying Monkey Tobizaru at 6-8 versus Oshoumi at 4-10. Oshoumi's had a rough tournament, but these guys come together, lock up in the middle, going chest to chest, which is not a good spot for the Flying Monkey to be. Oshoumi puts on the pressure and just sort of juggles him over the edge to get his 5th win and quite probably save his Makuuchi rank. There's still an outside chance he'll be dropped down to Juryo, but he might be able to just stay barely in at like a 17 Easter or a 16. Shishi at 6-8, the Ukrainian coming in against Fuji Seiyun 9-5. A win for Fuji Seiyun today would secure the Fighting Spirit Prize, getting double digits in his first tournament in Makuuchi would be fantastic. Shishi comes in with a strong charge, but tries to get some slaps going, some pushing, but Fuji Seiyun manages to parry him to the right, get behind him, and force him out for the win to lock in a Fighting Spirit Prize and double digits in his first ever tournament. Great work for Fuji Seiyun. Kinbozan, the Kazakh, at 8-6 versus Roga, the Russian, at 5-9. Now, Kinbozan got his first Kachikoshi in 5 tournaments this time, and he comes out strong, full extension, and Roga simply has no response for him. Now, this is the first time that Kinbozan's been able to defeat Roga in their 6 matches, and Roga goes home now with his 2nd consecutive Makekoshi. So, great work for Kinbozan. Kotoeho at 9-5 comes up against Iron Man Tamawashi at 4-10. These guys are meeting for the first time. Tamawashi charges in strong, keeps a hand up in his face, and rushes him out to finish his tournament on a high note, despite only having a 5-10 record. But that is his 712th win, which makes him number 8 of all time, tied with Yokozuna Haru Mafuji. So, great work for Tamawashi. Toki Hayate at 5-9 versus Fuji Ryoga at 6-8. Now, Fuji Ryoga, the other first-time Makuuchi promotion. Fuji comes in hard, drives Toki Hayate to the edge, who then grabs an overarm right on the belt and tries a throw on him, but Fuji Ryoga manages to slip under it and toss him to the side and out. So Tokahayate secures double-digit losses in his highest rank ever. Fuji Ryoga, he finishes 7-8, which unfortunately is losing and not as good as his stablemate there, but a 7-8, I think very strongly, I feel like he will only slide that half a rank to a 17 West. Hometown boy Ura at 5-9 versus Chiyo Shoma 9-5. Now, this hometown hasn't had much to celebrate from Ura, who once again comes in far too low, and when he comes in for a secondary attack after the first one, gets slapped down once again. Heavily bandaged Chiyo Shoma gets double-digit wins and shows a variety of styles in this tournament. So, good result for an injured guy here. Ura disappointing the hometown. I hate to see this guy lose, but he definitely has a sweet spot in the ranks, usually about the middle, where he's able to put together just an exciting tournament in general and stay winning. But he gets too high up and he gets too many actual contenders and just can't compete with the best of them. Asahakuryu at 10-4 comes up against Hakano Fuji, who is 4-6-4. Hakano Fuji having that injured toe ligament, heavily taped leg again, but he charges in and gets a double inside grip with a forehead tight to Asahakuryu's chest, and sort of pauses in the middle and seems like he gathers himself, like bracing for the pain he knows is coming, and then does this weird sort of quick frog splash attack and bounces Asahakuryu out. So he does finish the tournament with a win despite sitting out so many days. He's still 5-10. Asahakuryu, still a great performance at double digits, 10-5. It sucks to lose your last one, but he has nothing to be ashamed of with this tournament. Ichi Yamamoto comes up against Mitaka Yumi, both men currently at 8-6. Now, this is great for Mitaka Yumi, as it's his first Kachikoshi in 4 tournaments. But today ended on a sour note for him, as he did sort of a weird, useless half pull-down attempt against the much taller and longer Ichi Yamamoto, and just gets quickly walked out. So, kind of a lackluster, limp ending to the tournament for both of them, but what are you going to do? Asakuryu at 9-5 comes up against Koto Shoho at 10-4. Now, Asakuryu has won both of their previous matches, and he needs this one to get his 3rd Fighting Spirit prize. So, he just immediately just dances to the right and slaps him down. And it's just straight up Henka. It's kind of a dick way. Sorry, I should say, I need to clarify. Koto Shoho dances to the right to claim the special prize. I hate seeing a guy win a Fighting Spirit prize with a Henka. But what are you going to do? 11 wins, 4 losses, good record, prize worthy. It sucks, but that's sumo. Abi at 4-5-5 comes up against Nishiki Fuji at 8-6. Both these guys have been banged up for this tournament. Abi more so with that fractured vertebrae, but Nishiki Fuji comes forward hard, gets a deep inside grip, forces him back to the rope. Abi tries a little weird neck pulling spin sort of thing at the rope, but Nishiki Fuji just stays close to him. He's the belt specialist. Abi is not comfortable on the belt, and he just gets forced backwards and out. So Nishiki Fuji finishing strong with 9 wins. Gonoyama comes up against Takanosho. Both men are at 9-5. Now these guys were both contenders early on, but Takanosho petered out a little earlier and kind of had a mixed bag going through the tournament. Gonoyama was in it for quite a while until the last third there. And he's dropped a few in a row, but today he comes out hard forward, but Takanosho is bigger and stronger. He just absorbs it, takes it inside positions, and forces Gonoyama back to the rope. But then Gonoyama dances back and to the inside position again and charges back hard at Takanosho, who moves back and tries to force him down while he's being forced out. The judge points at Takanosho saying, "Oh, Gonoyama hit the ground before you jumped out. That's the win." But a mono-e gets called, and in the video you can clearly see Takanosho steps out while Gonoyama's still in the air. So the decision gets reversed, and the hometown boy Gonoyama manages to collect his 10th win on the final day. So, a positive finish for this tournament. Daisho versus Shodai, the Lord of Chaos. Both men come in at 7-7. I really don't like these Darwin fights on the end. I feel like if both guys are on the edge of this, like, yes, it's, I guess, sort of exciting to see the two of them have to fight for it, but I would rather see two guys get a Kachikoshi by, like, having to face off a guy who's like, I don't know, 6-8 right now. Like, it's not a big deal for him. He'd like to finish strong, but the other guy, he's got the motivation. He doesn't want to finish with a losing record still. So putting both guys against each other is just, I don't know. I understand why they do it, but it still feels like a jerk move. But these guys come together, lock up in the middle. Daisho tries to get some thrusting started, but Shodai immediately gets it inside left and then attacks on his right to thrust Daisho over and claim the Kachikoshi. So good work for him. Shodai, again, so, like, I keep saying chaotic. Inconsistent might be a better word, but, when he's got it, he's got it. The guy's a former Ozeki, so today he really showed why that was. Hirado Umi at 6-8 comes up against Chirano Umi at 4-10. Now, our kissable boy here is 4-0 against Chirano Umi, and he comes in high, tight, and fast and just bowls him over the rope to salvage his final day. He's going to finish with a 7-8. He'll slide a little bit, but not too much. Fujinokawa comes up against Oho, both at 7-7. You know how I feel about these Darwin matches. Fujinokawa will get a technique prize if he manages to win this. Oho comes in hard, gives up the double inside grip, but tries to sort of lock those arms. Moves him to the edge just using his size to his advantage, but right at the edge, Fujinokawa plants his right and pivots at the edge to toss Oho with a beautiful Sakuanage to claim the technique special prize and a possible Sanyaku promotion. So great work on his part, Oho. Unfortunately, going to have to try again next time. Asanoyama at 8-6 comes up against Yoshino Fuji 6-8. Now, Yoshi is super young, so this is the first time these guys have ever met each other. They come in, they go chest to chest immediately. Asanoyama chugs them to the edge, and then Yoshino Fuji manages to get him up high on one leg, but Asanoyama resists the Uwatanage, pushing hard against Yoshi's planted leg, pulls them both back to the middle, and they sort of reset for a moment to sort of catch their breath, but Yoshino comes in with the lower position, drives hard, lifts Asanoyama up and out to sort of avenge that career-first Makekoshi he suffered. So it finishes strong. Yes, it's his first losing record in his career, but 7-8, it could have been a lot worse, and he's going to be super motivated for the next time. Wakamoto Haru brings his unfortunate 3-11 up against Oshoma's 5-9. This has been a disappointing Komusumi performance. And this is Oshoma's third straight Makekoshi, so both men not looking great out there. Wakamoto Haru comes in strong and pushes Oshoma right back to the edge, but can't finish the job. Oshoma resists, and then he comes in to retaliate. Waka resets, shoves him back to the edge again, but he gets a little overextended and off balance, and Oshoma's able to dodge to the left, grab a belt and neck, and flip him out right at the ring edge to claim his 6th win. So a really tragic 3-12 for Wakamoto Haru. I think he'd be lucky to be in the top half. I predict probably Maegashira 7 or 8 for him. Tommy Fuji at 9-5 comes up against Takayasu, who's a disappointed 6-8. You remember this guy was in the lead at one point and then has dropped 7 in a row. Tommy Fuji in this fight has a prize on the line. Takayasu comes in fierce though, grabs a deep double inside grip, and then proceeds to immediately twist and dump a Tommy Fuji down to snap that 7-match losing streak and deny him the prize. With this last win, a 7-8, he's Sekiwaki right now, but very real chance he stays in the Sanyaku, just drops down to a Komusubi with only the 7-8. But we'll see how things shake out with some of these strong finishers. Kirishima, the tournament winner, you'll remember yesterday he secured that even though he lost. He's at 12-2, comes up against Kotozakura, who's at a 9-5 and had that win over Hoshoryu yesterday. Now Kotozakura comes in hard and reaches over Kirishima to grab the back of his belt and then use just his bulk to force him back, and with some light chugging roughs him out of the ring to record his first double-digit tournament in well over a year. It's been since 2024 he hasn't gotten double digits. So great finish for him. Kirishima, unfortunately, finishes the tournament on back-to-back losses, but does secure his 3rd tournament win. And with this 12-3 record, I think it's basically a lock he's going to be Ozeki again. They'll, of course, have a special meeting at the end of this tournament, but I would be flabbergasted to see them not recommend that he get re-promoted to Ozeki. Our final match of the tournament, Hoshoryu at 10-4, comes up against Aonishiki, who's at 7-7. You'll remember Aonishiki started this tournament on a potential yokozuna run and started strong, but then just fell apart at near the end of the first week. And this is an interesting match because Hoshoryu has never beaten Aonishiki. Aonishiki has beaten him 5 times, including, if you include the one playoff that he won. Their official records only show 0-4, but there was that extra match where he won the playoff against him to win the yuusho. I think it was last tournament, 2 tournaments ago. So Hoshoryu's yet to solve this riddle here, but he comes in strong. Aonishiki, as usual, tries to stay low, but as they pivot a little bit, Hoshoryu gets his left arm hooked under. So Hoshoryu's right hooks under Aonishiki's left and sort of straightens him up a bit, and then pivots on that same side, and then pulling with that arm, hooks Aonishiki's left leg with Hoshoryu's right leg, and picks that leg out, and using those double hooks, hops and spins and throws Aonishiki into the clay to hand him his first Makikoshi. Hoshoryu put down a statement today in response to Hakaku's criticism. I think you could see it in his eyes, and you definitely saw it in his sumo, that this guy was pissed at what was said about him as a champion and wanted to finish showing him that, like, hey man, I deserve to be where I am. There's been criticism in the past of, oh, he got promoted too easily. Nah, man, this is the guy who is going to be the one you watch out for, despite Onosato's, obvious physical prowess. He's big, he's strong, he wins easily. Hoshoryu is the technical master out there, and I think you're going to see a lot longer career out of him than some of these other guys who are going to break down while he just gets stronger and stronger. Anyways, that's been the Haru Basho 2026. I will be back in about a week with another episode. We're going to try to do every other week updates between Basho, including sumo news, gossip, rumors, any developments that happen. We'll try to do 1 or 2 episodes, either focusing on aspects of sumo to teach some of the newer people about the different details of sumo life, or focusing on specific interesting wrestlers and their careers and some of the yokozuna's histories. But stay tuned for those. I don't have it firmly planned out yet, but we will keep an upload schedule between tournament, and I'll see you at the dojo. Maple Sumo is a No Plot Only Lore production. Check out our other podcasts at noplotonlylore.com.